Ever since the 1975 release of the Steven Spielberg film Jaws, a terrible tragedy has fully entered the international consciousness. For one of the main characters, the shark fisherman Quint, is revealed to have been a survivor of the worst mass shark attack in history. The sinking of the US heavy cruiser Indianapolis, the 30th of July 1945. Drawn to the sound of explosions as the torpedoed vessel sank, large oceanic sharks began to attack the 890 men who had survived the sinking, eating hundreds alive. Only 316 sailors survived to be rescued after 4 horrific days. The sinking of the Indianapolis is held up as an almost unique story, the largest loss of life from shark attack in human history. But, tragically, another completely forgotten shark massacre involving a US ship also occurred in World War II, 2 years before the Indianapolis, resulting in a huge loss of life that was almost as bad as that of the later warship, yet no one ever talks about it. But before we get to that, a word from our sponsor. A VPN, short for Virtual Private Network, is a cybersecurity tool for privacy and security. When you connect to it, a VPN creates a secure tunnel. It secures data traveling between you and the VPN server. Encryption scrambles data, so to anyone outside the encrypted tunnel, the information looks like gibberish, meaning no snoops can sneak a peek at your online activity. A VPN enables you to browse safely and privately with just a few clicks. With NordVPN's MeshNet feature, you can share files between devices securely, no size limits and no quality downgrade, in addition to secure file sharing. You can also access your devices remotely. It even browses through another linked device using its IP. See the link for NordVPN's exclusive deal. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. NordVPN. Sign up now. This is the horrible story of the Cape San Juan and a shark frenzy of diabolical proportions. On the 11th of November 1943, the US cargo ship Cape San Juan was making her way 300 miles southeast of Fiji in the Pacific Ocean. She was a type of ship known as a C-1B small dry cargo freighter operated by the US Army, one of 173 constructed during the war. They were better built than Liberty ships and more versatile. The Cape San Juan weighed 6,750 tons, with a maximum speed of just over 14 knots. She was packed with US troops en route from San Francisco to Townsville in Australia. In total, there were 1,464 crew and passengers aboard, the largest unit being the 855th Engineers Aviation Battalion, an all-black unit. She was equipped with 6 lifeboats and 36 large Carley floats. There were also life jackets for all personnel aboard. The ship travelled blacked out, zigzagging, and had lookouts posted, but the Cape San Juan was being stalked by an unseen enemy. Moving into a submerged firing position was the Imperial Japanese Navy submarine I-21. At 5:30 in the morning local time, 11th of November 1943, Commander Hiroshi Inaga launched 2 torpedoes at the American ship. The wake from the first torpedo was spotted, as it created a phosphorescence in the water, and it missed the stern by just 15 feet. Another torpedo was already in the water. It struck the starboard side of the ship close to the vessel's double bottom, causing the ship to list heavily. Several men from the 855th and crewmen were killed or injured. The radio room sent the following message, quote, "Torpedoed, ship sinking fast," plus its position. Then there was silence. Navy armed guards opened fire on where the I-21 was presumed to be. The ship's engine was stopped. Some 20 minutes after being hit, evacuation began. The sea state was, however, getting worse, with 15 to 20-foot whitecaps, and flooding continued below deck. Many men drowned during the evacuation in the rough seas. By 6:30 a.m., all the lifeboats and rafts were away, and all of the personnel except for around 200 soldiers who were still on board. 2 hours after being hit, there was an explosion or a loud thud beneath the ship, probably from a malfunctioning torpedo fired by the Japanese submarine in an effort to finish her off. At 7:40 a.m., a Royal New Zealand Air Force Hudson circled the scene, investigating the SOS radio call. The aircraft returned at 9:30 and signaled that help was on the way. The explosions, however, had started to attract a different kind of predator than Japanese submarines. Oceanic white-tip sharks. Hundreds of men were in the water, clinging to the side of rafts or lifeboats or floating in life jackets, many injured, burned, or bleeding. The sharks began to attack them with horrific cost. The oceanic white-tip is a big, aggressive shark known for its attacks on shipwreck and air crash survivors. It can grow up to 3 meters or 10 feet in length. The Cape San Juan remained afloat, though listing heavily to starboard. 5.5 hours after the torpedoing, the Liberty ship Edwin T. Meredith arrived and took off the men still remaining aboard the Cape San Juan. She slowly circled the stricken vessel for an astounding 8 hours, locating and rescuing the drifting survivors who were under intense attack by hundreds of big sharks. Sharks also attacked the Kali floats upon which many men had taken refuge, dragging them off and eating them alive. A Martin PBM Mariner flying boat landed and rescued 48 men and was so overloaded that it was unable to take off, drifting for hours. Many of the men in the water were partially blinded from the fuel oil leaking into the ocean, making easy pickings for the sharks. Even as the men were being hauled aboard the Meredith and later a US Navy destroyer, sharks took them from the lifelines in front of the horrified crew. The eventual toll was horrific. Of 1,464 men who had been aboard the Cape San Juan when she was torpedoed, only 448 survived to be rescued. Hundreds had been eaten alive by the big oceanic sharks. The death toll was only 54 less than that of the USS Indianapolis some 2 years later, but despite this, the story of the Cape San Juan and the mass shark attack is virtually unknown today. Until now. Don't have nightmares, and a happy All Hallows Eve to you all, whether you are on land or at sea. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.